Good afternoon and welcome to the Heritage Ohio webinar series. Today we have a special webinar. With us today is Lisa Pat McDaniel from the Ohio Capital Corporation for Housing. And Lisa is going to be speaking about their new place-based grants. And this one is a bit of a different webinar format. This one is only available today live for the Ohio Main Street program. So we thank you all, Ohio Main Street programs, for your membership and being a part. Later we will have this available on our website and on YouTube for everyone to view. And that being said, we would love anybody to become a member of Heritage Ohio. We are a nonprofit statewide organization working in historic preservation and urban revitalization, and we do hope that you will support our mission. If you have any technical issues, 99% of those can be resolved by restarting your browser. That usually is the best fix. So if something happens, if the software crashes, simply restart the GoToWebinar program in your browser and everything should be fine. Please feel free to send in questions at any point. Those will all be logged and we will read those off at the end of the presentation. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Lisa Pat McDaniel.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me here. I want to tell you a little bit about our organization first. How do I change the Ohio Capital Corporation for Housing is a nonprofit organization based in Columbus, Ohio. We work statewide in Ohio and a little bit in Pennsylvania, Kentucky, and Indiana, but primarily Ohio. Our core activity is to syndicate low-income housing tax credits. We've also syndicated federal housing tax credits and state historic tax credits as well. That is our core mission, but we are a nonprofit, so we take our profits and instead of dispersing those to investors, we take those and reinvest them in our projects in the neighborhoods where our projects are located and in our residents. We created Ohio Capital Impact Corporation this past year. It's a new affiliate of ours. It's a 501c3 nonprofit, and we are using the Ohio Capital Impact Corporation to perform all of our philanthropic activities. We really want to have a great impact on our clients and our neighborhoods, and this is our vehicle for doing that. Ohio Capital Impact Corporation has been capitalized not only with Ohio Capital Corporation for Housing profits, but also with financial support from our partners and equity investors. We have 3 initiatives, and I'll just tell you those in case you ever run across other opportunities for these. They may not apply to you, but we have our Carol Mount Peterson Resident Development Fund. Carol Mount Peterson was a long-time chair of our board. Unfortunately, when she passed away, we wanted to do something to honor her, and we created this fund. This fund works directly to benefit residents in our projects, to help them through education, through job training and employment, and other activities. The Place-Based Strategies Fund is what we're going to talk about today. This is brand new, and we are using it to help strengthen our neighborhoods, and you'll hear more about that. Our Capital for Partners, where we work with our nonprofit housing partners who help develop our projects and manage them over the long term. And then CPO Impact. CPO is Community Properties Organization of Ohio. They are our affiliate who manages many of the properties that we've invested in. And they also are working heavily in their neighborhoods to do all kinds of different initiatives to improve the living conditions of residents in those neighborhoods. But today we're here to talk about the Place-Based Strategies Fund. Our vision of building a better community includes assisting our local partners, and many of you may be those local partners, so that's why we wanted to make sure you were well aware of what we were doing. Generally, those activities should improve the built environment in our communities and neighborhoods where we've invested in affordable housing. If you want to check to see if your community has an OCCH investment, you can go to our website. It is currently up on the screen. You go there and you can search your community, and if we have invested in any way in projects in that community, you are eligible. The project itself should reasonably be expected, though, to benefit wherever the location of that project is. In smaller communities, it makes sense that the entire community might benefit. In larger communities, such as our Cleveland's, Columbus's, and Cincinnati's, it's more likely to be a project that's benefiting a specific neighborhood. This is a competitive application, and so far, since we've put the application up on our website, we've gotten plenty of calls. You can never tell how competitive something's going to be until the applications come in, but if I were to judge, I would say it's going to be pretty competitive. Our deadline for our application is October 1st, 2013. Both the application and the guide can be found at our website, OCCH.org, under the Current Initiatives tab. One thing I will say is that the actual application can be filled out online, or if technology isn't working for you that particular day, as long as those particular questions in the application are answered and the budget and any attachments you want to include are provided, you do not actually have to use that actual application form. But all of the information requested in that application has to be included. The guide is also there. It will tell you what needs to be included and answer a lot of your questions, but we'll be going through those today. We expect that awards will be made in January after our board approves them, and we will be using people internally to our organization to do the review, but we will also be using some of our outside statewide partners, of which Heritage Ohio will be one. In addition, the Ohio CDC Association, potentially the Greater Ohio Policy Centers, and others, just to have some other insight, outside insight, as to how the proposals might be successful. After our initial round of awards, we will consider additional proposals in an open cycle based on our funding ability. So if we have not, in fact, had enough projects that are ready to go that we can award during our competitive round, we will consider projects through July 1st. The grant amounts is up to $30,000. Our eligible applicants are project development or management partners who have actually participated in the development of our projects. They can be local community development corporations or other nonprofit organizations, and certainly Main Street organizations fall under this category. And it could also be a local government. We would anticipate that perhaps in smaller communities, local governments may be the ones who are going to apply depending on the project. We don't want to use this money to do any improvements to any specific affordable housing development that we've previously invested in. There are other avenues for improving those properties, so this money is not to be used for that. The project does not need to directly benefit residents of the affordable housing projects that might be in your community. They can have a wider impact for the community. So for example, if you're in a community and you are doing a park, and that park really is benefiting the entire community and not necessarily right near the affordable housing project, that is perfectly acceptable. We also will consider innovative proposals that are not listed in the project examples section. So we are really looking to help develop new ideas in community and economic development. And just because it's not listed doesn't mean we won't consider it. If you have something that doesn't appear on this list, you should give me a call and we'll talk it through, because as I said, we're always looking for new ideas, and we want to help promote those new ideas among other communities in Ohio. Here's our list of project examples. We will consider project pre-development or planning for a project that's going to be implemented. But we have to have a reasonable belief that once the project is planned, that it will go forward. So, but this is probably one of the few places you can apply for planning and pre-development funds. We are interested and have seen many community gardens and urban agriculture projects. I will say that if that is something that interests you and you'd like to do that, you are really going to need to come in with a long-term plan for how that particular garden or urban farm is going to be maintained. That is a current problem with many communities who have started community gardens, and those community gardens have been successful for a year or two and then are neglected. And we want to make sure there's a long-term plan for that community garden being productive for the neighborhood and doesn't become another just vacant property covered in weeds. So that's something you'd want to consider there. Any kind of blight elimination, that's a broad category, but it could be cleaning up vacant property. It could be cleaning up vacant buildings until they can be redeveloped. We will consider home repair and improvements for the community or the neighborhood at large if we've made an investment in that neighborhood with our own project. Certainly it protects the investment of our investments if the surrounding properties are in good repair. We aren't, with $30,000, you're not really talking about major rehab in several properties. That certainly wouldn't be enough money, but certainly a paint-up program or some other program that would be improving and maintaining the properties in the neighborhood. If you have a vacant land reutilization project where you're going to finally be able to develop that actual piece of property in some way, you know, this money would be available for that. This is also possibly the kind of activity where you may need project pre-development funds to plan, architectural drawings, that kind of thing. This would be something that we would consider. Of course, something near and dear to all of your hearts and mine, being a Heritage Ohio board member, if we are in a neighborhood where there is retail and commercial buildings and there is a need for facade improvements or paint up, we are all about that, because we know that improving the retail commercial buildings in a neighborhood or in a community certainly adds to the overall value of that community and the property surrounding them. So we will consider that as well. If there is an issue with safety and crime reduction, and there is a program that is going to be implemented, we will consider that. I don't like to talk too much about that because we hope we don't have a lot of those kinds of projects, but nonetheless, we will consider innovative ways of addressing safety and crime. We're interested in helping to do nice, well-designed wayfinding signage projects and public art. We are interested in, as I said, enhancing the overall neighborhood, how it looks, and public art certainly adds to that. As I said, we've been contacted quite a bit since we put this program out. So we are definitely have some decision criteria that will help us to decide if we get many more requests than the money we have available. Those decision criteria are listed now on your screen. We will be looking to see what other collaboration is occurring between the applicant and other programs and funding sources. Matching funds are not required, but due to the competitiveness, we will consider if a project has matching funds when we rate the projects. And to the extent that those matching funds are set in stone, that will be better when we consider rating projects competitively. We certainly will be looking at the capacity of an organization to complete the project. So we will look to see, especially when we're looking at organizations that we have not worked with in the past, nonprofits, a record of being able to accomplish the kind of project that they're proposing. And if a nonprofit has not typically done the kind of project they're proposing, a way to help get advice on that capacity, whether it's another organization or the local government, who will partner with you to walk you through implementing the project that you're proposing. Of course, we're looking at project impact on the community. So those projects that have a wider impact or a bigger impact will rate higher than those that do not. If at all possible, we want to see community residents engaged in the planning of the proposal. If you are coming in for planning and pre-development, chances are your community engagement is going to happen at that point. You probably have not had community engagement. That we understand. But if you've already planned the project, we'd like to know that there is community support for the project and that any ideas or input by the community has been considered. I want to make sure everybody understands that we mean the community or the neighborhood at large and not necessarily just residents of any project that we've invested in. We're expecting that when the awards are made in January of 2014, projects can be completed within 24 months of the award. So to the extent we expect that, we'll be looking to rate how far or how ready to go actually projects are at the point that they are submitted to us. Because we don't want to have money sitting out there being held for a project and then not spent for 3 or 4 years later. As I said, I'm already receiving many questions. I am extremely happy to entertain other questions. You can give me a call at the number provided or email me. Emailing me is a very good way to get an even quicker response because I am traveling quite a bit. So either way, I'm happy to listen to what you might propose, any ideas if you want to bounce them off me, and give you some feedback on those ideas. This first round is really a pilot for us internally. If it's successful, I think we will be going to our board and asking them to approve future rounds in future years. But this is really a demo for us. So I cannot guarantee we'll have money in the future, but I am excited at the prospect of the kinds of proposals we have coming in. So I anticipate that if it all goes well, that we will be able to have money in the future.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Lisa. At this time, we're happy to take any questions. Although we don't have any up yet, we'll wait a few moments and see if anybody does have a question. All right, seeing no questions, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Lisa, for providing us with this information. Of course, if you have any questions regarding Lisa and her work at OCCH, you can reach her at the information I provided on the screen, and you can reach us at heritageohio.org with all of our contact information. Thanks so much for joining us today, and we will talk to you again soon. Bye.